Hey folks, Jake and I are here tonight to shoot a different kind of video. It'll be the first video that I dedicate to one artist. In this case, that artist will be Rick Springfield. Who was hotter in the 80s than Rick Springfield? I used to watch his videos all the time on Night Tracks, the video show that came on the Superstation WTBS. Great show. I mean, Friday and Saturday night watching Night Tracks. That was it. That was one of the greatest sources for connecting to music during my high school days. So I've been a fan of Springfield since the early 80s. Let's get into this collection. Alright, now I picked up a couple albums of his recently that from early in his career. These aren't necessarily my favorite. They're not my favorite Rick Springfield albums, but they're a good part of the collection. The first Rick Springfield album is Wait for the Night, or Wait for Night. I have not even spun this yet, so I have no idea what to expect from this album. It was put out on RCA. Actually, according to the front of this, it says this album was recorded in 1976 with the help of Nigel Olson and Dee Murray. The original title was Wait for Night. I hope you enjoy this re-release. It does have the original inner sleeve. I need to take it out because it's tearing. There it is on RCA. Until I spin it, I really don't know anything about this album. I don't recognize any of the titles. The next album actually did not come out until after, I believe, after the Hard to Hold soundtrack. But the material, I think, is from 77, which would make, if it had come out when it was recorded, it would have been next in line, because I'm doing these albums chronologically. Rick Springfield, Beautiful Feelings. Kind of not the greatest cover in the world, but there it is on Mercury. I have heard this. I had it on cassette at one point. Some good songs on there. Just One Look was a good song. Probably my favorite is the opening song, Bruce, where Rick is lamenting the fact that he's always being confused with Bruce Springsteen. Now we start getting into the material that everyone knows. Rick Springfield, Working Class Dog, on RCA. Let's see what the hits on this album were. Love Is Alright Tonight, Jesse's Girl, Carry Me Away, I've Done Everything for You, Everybody's Girl. Some great songs on this album. Jesse's Girl is the big hit off of this album. Jesse's Girl is nowhere near my favorite Rick Springfield song, and I'm not sure I can tell you what my favorite Springfield song is, but would not have been this one, that song. My favorite song off this album is his cover of Sammy Hagar's I've Done Everything for You. And first, let me just say, I think it's just brilliant to have this dog on here and then put Rick's picture in his pocket. Just a great way to do that cover. So that's one of his most famous albums. Let's followed up by the album Success Hasn't Spoiled Me Yet. Again on RCA. Let's look at the songs on this. Calling All Girls, which is a great song. I Get Excited. What Kind of Fool Am I? Don't Talk to Strangers. Yeah, great album. Now we start getting into what might be my favorite period of Springfield's career. The next album is Living in Oz. I thought this album sounded great front to back. It is on RCA, but you can see the label is more custom for the design of the album. Human Touch, Allison, Affair of the Heart, Living in Oz, Souls. A lot of great songs on this album. Here's the back with Rick holding a guitar. I also have that on CD. Next up, Rick Springfield, Hard to Hold soundtrack. RCA label. Great songs on this, and why did I pull the record? Because the songs are on the front. Love Somebody, Don't Walk Away, Bop Till You Drop, Taxi Dancing, Stand Up. Great soundtrack. After the Hard to Hold soundtrack came, I'm going to try to say this, Tahoe Tale? I'm not sure. This is back to the kind of custom centering. Whoop. Let's see, some of the songs on here. Stranger in This House, Dance This World Away, Written in Rock, My Father's Chair, State of the Heart, Celebrate Youth. Another fantastic album. Then came Rock of Life. One of my favorite songs, just regular RCA label, one of my favorite songs is Rock of Life. The opening, the title track and the opening cut. Honeymoon in Beirut was a good song. World Start Turning, Tear It All Down. And that's Rock of Life, which I also have on CD. But this is where my collection starts shifting from vinyl, because I'm out of vinyl now, to CD. After Rock of Life, I think he had an ATV accident. He was on the shelf for a while. His comeback album was Karma. there's not a whole lot on this album that has really stuck out with me. I'm not going to say it's a terrible album, but it wasn't one that really grabbed me. I did love the live album that followed. Rick Springfield, the greatest hits alive. First of all, I really love that cover. Good picture. Love the graphics. There's the back. Great selection of songs for a live album. Then came the kind of almost 90s rock album, Shock, Denial, Anger, Acceptance. But this is a good album. It does rock pretty hard. There were some good songs on here. Perfect, I'll Make You Happy, Will I? Yeah. Then came Rick Springfield, The Day After Yesterday. I don't know why I keep saying Rick Springfield, except that I'm in the habit, because I'm usually doing multiple artists. Anyway, this is a album of covers. I wasn't familiar with a whole lot on here. Well, actually, I knew more than what I realized once I played it. Broken Wings, he actually does with Mr. Mister's Richard Page. That's probably a highlight on this album for me. Let's see what. All right. Then comes Venus and Overdrive. This is a very good album as well. What's Victoria's Secret is a great song. I'll miss that someday. Venus and Overdrive. God Blinked, Swing It Sister. Yeah, there were some great songs on this. Alright, so we go from that to Rocket Science. Good album, though it was really weird to hear some country elements on this. First of all, the album art doesn't even give you a clue that that's coming. And it's just weird to hear some of the instrumentation on this album, but it's a solid album. There are good songs on here. Light This Party Up was kind of, it felt like an almost attempt to have a CMT hit, but I mean, it's a catchy song. Okay. So at this point, I should be showing you the album Songs for the End of the World. But some moron on eBay is taking about 2 months to get this CD to me. And I think I'm about to start getting ugly with them because I've been very patient. And patient isn't working. So the last studio album I have to show you is the brand new album, The Snake King. It's a blues album. This album really has me conflicted. There is a lot of well, I don't know how to say this. There's a lot of lyrics on this album taking shots at God and Jesus. I'm not sure where he's coming from with that. I did hear an interview. Well, actually, he was doing kind of a concert, streaming concert, and he was talking about how this album might offend a lot of his fan base in the South. I'm not really offended by that. I mean, I don't live a sheltered life. I know there are a lot of people that don't share my personal beliefs. I'm not offended by that. I'm just not. The only I don't know that I really want to hear it from. I can't connect to these lyrics. And then there's the other thing that almost offends me more than anything that he could say about God or Jesus is the lack of hope in this album. I'm listening to songs like Suicide Manifesto and God Don't Care About You, and it's like, it's so fatalistic. There's no, I don't hear any sort of hope at all in it, and that bothers me. And the lyrics, it's not that the lyrics are poorly written. It's just, you got images like Jesus smoking a bong, and it's like, oh, he said it was to humanize Jesus, and I don't get it. I just don't get it. And so I don't know how much repeated listenings this will get from me. And that's a shame, because I thought the music on this CD was stellar. But so I don't know. It could go either way. Maybe it'll be one of those albums that I eventually just grow numb to the lyrics and can enjoy the music. But I don't know. We'll see. But if you want to hear what Springfield sounds like doing a blues album, there's some good stuff as far as music's on here. It's just the lyrics. And if you don't have a problem with the lyrics, you may really love this album. I don't know. You might want to give it a shot. So that leaves me with two more CDs. They're both greatest hits. One is Behind the Music. This one I feel a little odd having, just because the layout, the art on it is like the teeny bopper magazines like Tiger Beat. Kind of odd. Well, no, it's not odd. He was a heartthrob, but that's not why I listened to him. So, I think there were a couple songs that were on here that were unreleased, including, I think, Calling All Girls was this is one of the few places I have that song. And then the other greatest hits is just this kind of generic standard greatest hits, but good cuts on it. I think I would buy this first because it has a few rarer tracks on it. But they're both good collections. Real quickly before this gets too long, I do have the book. I haven't read it yet. Late at Night, Rick Springfield, a memoir. On DVD. I haven't watched this movie in a while, and I don't think I've had this particular copy, but it's still in the wrap. It's still got the hype sticker on it. Rick Springfield, Hard to Hold. There's one big starring role, except for, and I didn't pull it, but it's right here. Oh, let me see if I can. I do have the supporting role that he did with Meryl Streep, Ricky and the Flash. This was a really good movie. And Rick had a great role in it, even though it was just supporting. Concert-wise, I have Rick Springfield, the beat of the live drum. I think this is from the 80s. It does have songs all the way through Hard to Hold. And then I have Live in Rockford. And I believe this album has material that goes all the way up to the 90s album that I can't remember the name of. Shock, Denial, Anger, Acceptance. There's some songs from that album on here, but that's as far as it goes. He's probably due another one. So there are some holes in my collection. I think I'd like to get a copy of Comic Book Heroes, one of his very early albums. I'd like to get the album that I bought from eBay one day. Then I'd like to get, he has a live album and DVD set called Strip Down, I believe. And there was one other item. Oh, yes. The documentary that they did on Rick, and I think it was called Affair to the Heart. So that would make this collection fairly complete. So that's my Rick Springfield collection. Hope you had a good time going through it. I know Jake had a great time going through it, didn't you, buddy? Huh? Alright, so from the two of us, hope you're having a great evening, and we will see you later.